I travel quite a bit, and recently I traveled for 1 month, and a question that everyone asks me on Instagram is how much does it cost? Well, in this video I'm gonna break it down on how much things cost so you can get an idea of how much things cost, how much traveling costs. Let's get into it. So for context, I've been traveling since 23rd of December until 19th of January. And now 23rd to the 1st of January, I was in Taiwan and I was in collaboration with Taiwan Tourism. So it was a sponsored trip. But then I went back to Dubai and then I traveled to 4 countries. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you how much that 4 countries cost. Now I traveled since 4th of January until 19th of January between these 4 countries. And they are Lebanon, Turkey, Georgia, and Armenia. So let's break it down on how much traveling costs. Okay, so let's start off. So my main destination for this trip was Georgia because I wanted to go and see snow for the first time in my life. I lived in Dubai my entire life. I've never seen snow in my life. So I said, hey, Turkey is just right there, Istanbul is there, let's go to Istanbul. Flights are cheap, so why not? Let's spend a few days in Istanbul. And then when I was looking into flights to Istanbul, I saw that a flight to Istanbul with a 12-hour layover in Beirut is very cheaply priced, so I took that. And that's how you manage to travel more. So let's get into it. Dubai to Istanbul with a 12-hour layover in Beirut, it was $215. So I spent a day in Beirut, and what I spent in Beirut that day was about $50 on like food, transportation, things here and there. And then I spent $30 on getting a SIM card with data for 1 GB. So I paid a lot, so I just like take my card, just take it. I don't wanna like think about it. So yeah, I just spent $30 on getting a 1 GB data in Lebanon. Lebanon is expensive. Okay, so yeah, that happened. So in total, a 12-hour layover in Beirut did cost me about $80. So Dubai to Beirut, and now Beirut to Istanbul. In Istanbul, I used an Airbnb. I only used an Airbnb to book most of my accommodation, and on this trip, I only used Airbnb. In Asia, I would usually use Agoda because they're the best, but Airbnb is usually my favorite. Now for 4 nights stay in a private room using Airbnb in Istanbul, I paid about $55. I spent about $100 shopping for like a coat like this coat that you see, and a few other things here and there, so I spent $100 there. And Istanbul is a very cheap country, and their Turkish lira, their currency is doing very bad. I feel bad for Turkish people who live there, but as a tourist, it's a heaven. Okay, let that motorbike pass. So I spent about $55 as well on like food and transportation. Istanbul is very cheap. You don't really take taxis anywhere. You can walk almost everywhere, and food is very delicious and cheap as well, which is amazing. And then I added $25 on some miscellaneous items here and there, some souvenirs, an umbrella, things like that. So that was Istanbul, and then from Istanbul I went to Georgia, and the plane ticket cost about $100, and that includes 20 kg luggage as well, using Pegasus Airlines. By the way, on the flight from Dubai to Istanbul via Beirut, I used Middle Eastern Airlines, quite a nice airline. So yeah, Istanbul to Georgia, $100, and I spent a little over 9 days in Georgia, and that cost me $110 in total with accommodation, again exclusively on Airbnb. And Georgia is a very cheap country as well, which is amazing. Am I speaking too fast, guys? Just slow the video down, and if I'm speaking too fast, I'll try to speak slower now. And Georgia has such amazing food. I loved it so much. Very cheap as well. In total for 9 days, again, I spent about $100 spending on food. And then I also rented a 4x4 SUV for 5 days, and a bit of an old Pajero, but it was a proper 4x4, so I can take it on snowy roads and everything. And yeah, I got a very good deal on it using my Airbnb host. I used the TERRACE hostel in Tbilisi. If you guys are interested in booking anywhere in Tbilisi, please go to TERRACE Hostel. They have private rooms as well, which I opted for. Amazing family-run place, such a fantastic place. I rented a car from them because other places were twice the price. So for 5 days, 4x4 car, Mitsubishi Pajero, I got it for $150, which is a fantastic bargain. And then I added $50 onto here for like miscellaneous item, things that happened here and there. And yeah. And from Georgia, I used the train to go from Tbilisi to Yerevan and vice versa for 1.5 days. The train, two ways, cost about $70. And Armenia is like half the cheap as Georgia, cheap. And a hostel there. So I spent a day and a half there, and I booked a hostel. It was low season, so the hostel was empty. And alongside food and some taxi rides here and there, $40 for a day and a half. Armenia, Yerevan was great. And then I went back to Tbilisi to take a flight from Tbilisi to Dubai. Well, actually not Dubai, I booked by Air Arabia, so I went to Sharjah. Sharjah, I went to Dubai. And I spent $170 on that ticket, again with a 20 kg check-in, including the check-in 20 kg. Why did I go from Tbilisi back to Yerevan and not just go from Yerevan to Dubai? Well, because flights from Tbilisi from Georgia were noticeably cheaper by $100 cheaper than what it was in Yerevan. So yeah, I went back to Georgia and then to Dubai, and that was approximately 14 to 15 days of traveling. And I estimated that in total I spent between $1,300 to $1,400 in total, which is not a bad price. You can lower that to less than $1,000 if you don't account the car that I rented and some shopping that I did. So that could be less than $1,000 if you eliminate those. And I know that most of you guys are from Dubai, so the price in United Arab Emirates dirhams is give or take 5,000 dirhams. Again, you can do that for about $4,000. Sorry, 4,000 dirhams. So between 4,000 to 5,000 dirhams, a 2-week trip could cost you. And this could. Someone's playing music. Anyway, so yeah, a 2-week trip could cost you between, not between, but around $1,000, and in dirhams between 4,000 to 5,000 dirhams. Also note that all the countries that I went to for me were visa free. So keep in mind, for a lot of people, Turkey has e-visa, same as Georgia, and a lot of visa on arrival for Armenia. So keep that into account. I was luckily visa free, even though my passport is super crappy, but these countries were visa free for me. So yeah, that was nice. So yes, 4 countries, 2 weeks. It will cost you about $1,000, and you don't need to travel to like 4 countries in 2 weeks. You can just like stick to 1 or 2 countries, and the plane ticket could make a good effect on the price sheet. So yeah, this is how I travel, and this is the amount that it did cost me. Please tell me that music is copyright free. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them at the comment section below. Follow me on my Instagram at alphaspotting for more Instagram bangers, and to see the BTS on my travel. I post live stories when I travel, so I usually get good feedback on that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, any questions, comment section below. Much love, Alpha out.